Frank, how long have you been practicing law?
It's 33 years now. Started in 1993. It's been a it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. And specialty, niche specific, exactly what type of law
Uh,
are you?
we do personal injury law, which covers a wide array of injuries: car accidents, motorcycle accidents, ATV, boating accidents, and we also do wrongful death cases.
Okay.
So it's a pretty broad range, but it's all specific to injuries from the negligence of others.
So any type of injury, give you a call.
Yeah, pretty much. We cover a wide array. We do some nursing home cases as well and some medical malpractice.
Okay. So if I'm in the situation where I'm in a car accident, how soon do I call you after that accident in Ohio? Is there a certain time frame or limitation on that?
Well, there's no limitation on when you call me. There is for filing a lawsuit. But
Okay.
let's start with contacting an attorney after being in some type of accident.
Yeah. How soon should I do that?
The best approach is as soon as possible. And there are reasons for that. You want an attorney to get involved right away to start the investigation process. It's important to lock down witnesses. I should say first, it's important to identify the witnesses, try to lock down what they're going to say, gather physical evidence from the scene. Certain cases will send out a crash investigator, or a crash reconstruction expert. So you want all of that to happen sooner than later,
Soon as
because
possible.
yes, because over time, witnesses, like every other person, memories fade, they forget things. So you want to talk to them when everything is fresh in their mind. Evidence may get cleaned up or get lost or disappear. So the best practice is to contact a lawyer right away. Another thing is that the other side is usually going to be an insurance company.
Okay.
So they have a whole team of investigators and people that will be doing all of those things. And you want to be right there getting that work done on your behalf, not just on the insurance company's behalf. And then the insurance companies will try to contact the victim right away. They will try to record statements from the victim. They will often want to discuss how the accident or the crash happened, what kind of injuries you have. All of that is always being recorded. And like anything else, what you say can be used against you. So
Good to know.
it's good to get a lawyer involved right away to act as an intermediary there to protect your rights.
So what if the situation is I'm in an accident and the accident is partially my fault? Do I still have a opportunity to have a case?
Yes, in Ohio, it's what is called a comparative negligence case.
Okay.
Unlike some other states, there are a few states, if you have any fault at all, then you don't have a claim. But in Ohio, as long as you weren't 50% or more negligent or caused the accident, you can have a claim. But your damages may be reduced based on your percentage of fault.
Okay.
So we look at that on a case by case basis to see whether or not the person who's been injured, how much fault, if any, do they have. But I can tell you, most cases, it's pretty one sided as to who's at fault for the accident.
Gotcha. So how long do I have to file a car accident claim in Ohio?
Okay, yeah, that goes back and ties into our earlier question.
Mm-hmm.
2 years is the deadline.
2 years. Okay.
And it's 2 years from the date of the accident. Uh, that's known as the statute of limitations. And if you do not file a lawsuit within 2 years, then your claim is forever barred. And I emphasize the word lawsuit. It's not good enough to make a claim with the insurance carrier within 2 years.
Oh,
That doesn't protect your claim. You need to actually file a lawsuit in the court of law within 2 years to protect your claim.
okay. So what if I wasn't wearing a seatbelt? Can I still recover damages?
Yes. Um, the seatbelt uh, can or cannot come into play in your case. It depends on the type of injury, the type of impact, or I should say, the type of accident, and whether or not wearing a seatbelt would have made a difference. There are cases, and I've had those cases where the type of injury, the nature of the crash, wearing a seatbelt uh, would not have changed the outcome.
So if I was in a motorcycle accident and I was not wearing a helmet, can I still make a claim?
Yes. Again, depending on the type of injuries you received or suffered, yeah, you could still have a claim. It's very much like a seatbelt. There are cases where um, it could be a fatality or some other injuries that aren't head related, where wearing a helmet or not wearing a helmet would not have made a difference in the outcome. And we've handled two of those cases in the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years, where there were significant recoveries for our clients. And the victim, they were both fatalities. Uh, they were not wearing helmets,
Okay.
and they still had very strong claims. And we were able to recover significant sums of money for them.
Okay. So case by case. So how much does it cost to hire an Ohio car accident lawyer?
Um, we work on a contingency fee basis,
Okay.
so it doesn't cost the client any money out of their pocket. So when you hire us, we're compensated based on the outcome. So we get a percentage of the outcome. So if we don't recover anything, um, which is rare, then we don't get paid. But if we do recover, our fees come from a percentage of the recovery.
Okay. So no need to worry if I can afford to hire you initially, nothing up front.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Will my case go to court or settle out of court? How is that determined?
So the process is when you retain us, we begin our investigation. We collect evidence. When the time is right, after our client is done treating, and we can get a good determination of what their injuries are, what their prognosis is, we gather all those records, and then we present a claim, provided that there's enough time left between uh, where we are in that point in the process and the statute of limitations. We present a claim to the insurance carrier to try to resolve the case without filing a lawsuit. Um, the vast majority of the time, we can get the case resolved before filing a lawsuit. But there are situations when the insurance carrier, in our opinion, is not making a fair offer. So we then immediately proceed to file a lawsuit. And those are the cases that end up going into court, are the ones where we don't believe and our client agrees that the pre-suit settlement offer is fair. So we then file a lawsuit and we prosecute the case. But I can tell you, often after filing the lawsuit, the settlement offers go up. So,
Okay.
and the case can settle at any point in time. It can settle immediately after filing the lawsuit. It can settle on the morning of trial. We've settled cases in the middle of trial, uh, where the other side will come to us and make an offer that we think is fair and reasonable, and the client agrees.
So how long does it typically take to resolve a car accident case in Ohio?
Well, again, every case is different. You know, the smaller cases where the treatment isn't all that extensive, those can resolve in, 6 months or so. The cases where the client is more seriously injured and requires a longer course of treatment can take 9 to 12 months. And then it can go up from there.
Okay.
So it really is a case by case situation. And then a lot depends on the extent of the injuries and the extent of the treatment.
Okay. So you said basically you're always going after their insurance carriers. So what if the other driver does not have insurance?
Okay. You bring up a really important topic that I like to talk about a lot. I tell people all the time the most important insurance you can have is uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
Okay.
Uninsured, we call it underinsured, we call it UIM. So UIM insurance covers you if the other driver who was at fault does not have insurance,
Okay.
or if they have such a low amount of insurance, it's not enough to adequately compensate you for your injuries and damages. So just because the other driver does not have insurance, or maybe they have the state minimum policy, that doesn't mean you don't have a claim. We then,
Okay.
we then look at your insurance to see what coverage you have. And it's always a good idea to have as much UIM coverage as you can afford. Because unfortunately, there's a significant percentage of drivers out there who either have no insurance or they have the state minimum. And the state minimum is 25,000. And that's not very much nowadays. If you have, a moderate or God forbid, a severe injury,
Right.
it's going to take a lot more than $25,000 for you to be adequately compensated.
Okay. So do you recommend that I talk to my insurance company before calling a lawyer?
It's okay to report the crash or the accident to your insurance company before calling a lawyer.
Okay.
If you're going to do that, the next call should be to a lawyer, and especially if you're injured, you're going to want to get a lawyer involved right away so that things are put together correctly. The evidence is gathered thoroughly, and your rights are protected.
From the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
So what types of damages could I expect to recover in a car accident claim?
Let me talk about them in two categories.
Okay.
One is economic damages. The other is non-economic damages. Economic damages are things like medical bills, lost wages, out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay.
Maybe you're injured so badly that you're not going to be able to work in the future, or maybe you have to take another job making less money. So those future losses as well.
Oh,
Maybe you're so badly injured, you're going to need ongoing medical care and somebody needs to pay for that. So all of that falls under the category of economic damages.
okay.
And then there's the category of non-economic damages. That's pain, suffering, maybe there's disfigurement, scarring, maybe anxiety, mental distress, frustration, and inconvenience. And I want to talk a little bit more about the last two,
Okay.
because in my experience, those are not pushed enough in cases, or the insurance companies don't like to recognize them. But think about what it's like to have to go sit in an emergency room and then have to take time out of your day, multiple days a week sometimes, to go to physical therapy, to go to doctor's
Very
appointments.
inconvenient. Yeah.
Very frustrating,
Mhm.
very inconvenient. And so I think that those are areas of non-economic damages that I would like to see lawyers push harder on, because we all know that, well, I like to say to my kids when I think they're doing something reckless or dangerous, stop. I don't have time to go to the emergency room.
Right.
because that's a several-hour ordeal on just maybe something minor.
Right.
But imagine if you're seriously injured, having to go often for treatment, what a disruption that is.
So compensation for missed work and pain and suffering are both usually damages that can be recovered.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, along with a lot of other things.
Okay.
And that's why you want to get a lawyer involved, because most people aren't aware of all the different avenues of damages that you can utilize and that you should be compensated for. Somebody who wasn't being careful or maybe was being reckless came along and disrupted your life, and you were doing nothing wrong. And that's why we have the system we have.
So what are the car accident damage caps in Ohio?
So we refer to them as personal injury caps because they're different from medical cases. So the personal injury caps in Ohio are 250,000 or 3 times your economic damages, but no more than 350,000.
Okay.
That is for what they call non-permanent injury. But if you have a permanent injury, which is defined by state statute, and those are pretty strict definitions, then there's no damage caps.
Okay.
So an example of a permanent injury could be loss of a limb. It could be disfigurement. It could be that one category is you're no longer able to perform life-sustaining activities. So you need somebody to help you just with ordinary tasks. You can't work anymore. And there are some other nuances to it. And again, it's another reason why it's important to have a lawyer involved who understands these concepts and who can position your case so that you can get the maximum recovery, especially if you're severely injured.